What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Cars and Guitars. I think this is episode 4, and I'm super excited for what I've got to share with you today. Today, I want to go ahead and get started with the news. Couple things in the car world going on. This is the end of Gumball Rally. Gumball started about a week ago. It's a rally where they drive 3,000 miles through multiple different countries. And it's one of the most amazing experiences I've ever seen. It's super cool. In that 3,000 miles, they do all sorts of things. It's not just like a regular rally where you drive, you'll drive a couple hundred miles and then there'll be a nice dinner or whatever. This is a totally different experience. So I encourage all of you, go look at some videos. On YouTube, you can check out like Mr. JWW, or you can check out Daily Driven Exotics. They've made a bunch of videos lately for Gumball, which has been super cool to watch. So go check that out. Ed Bullion bought a Bugatti Veyron. Now, we've been keeping up with Ed because he's had his Lamborghini Murciélagos, the LP640s, in the shop. But he's actually bought a Bugatti Veyron, which has been like one of his dream cars for basically his entire life, which is super cool to see somebody finally buy that. And he actually just made a video sharing the cost breakdown of what it costs to maintain his Veyron. So go check that out. It's super cool. I don't know how people afford things like that, other than like he said, he went into a fair amount of debt for it. But he's grateful that he's been successful enough to have a car like that. Last week, the Grand Tour ended officially. Jeremy Clarkson, Richard Hammond, and James May filmed their last episode, or released their last episode, I should say, of the Grand Tour. And I'll tell you what's wild about that is Grand Tour has announced that they're going to continue the show with 3 new hosts. But Richard Hammond, James May, Jeremy Clarkson have said that they're never going to work together on a show again, which is kind of sad for those of us who grew up with them. That last episode was amazing, full of surprises. So I encourage anybody who hasn't seen it yet. I know by the time this video comes out, it's been a couple weeks, but go back and watch it. It was absolutely incredible. On the other hand, Doug DeMuro drove his Toyota Sequoia across the country. He does it twice a year. And whatever full-size SUV he has, it's been a Land Rover Defender, it's been Range Rovers, it's been whatever. This time in the Sequoia, he had a massive tire blowout, and if you go look at his video, it looked more like the tire was just completely shredded, completely fell apart, which is wild to have on a brand new tire. So that being said, that was a cool video. He made a video explaining that. Forgive some of the noise. We're in the basement here, and we've got some people just came into the studio up above us. Cool. Let's move on to some guitar talk real quick. 3 cool things happened. Number 1 was probably the Universal Audio. They've had pedals out for years now. The Ruby, I'm going to get roasted. The Woodford, I think, is what it's called. It's like the Tweed amp combo. And then the Dream 65, which is like a deluxe reverb style thing. These are pedals that go on your board that actually act as like an amp simulator, right? And everybody has been asking for it for a long time, but they finally released one called the Enigmatic, I think is how you pronounce it. Not totally sure on that, but it's a Dumble. It's a Steel String Singer, or no, sorry, it's an Overdrive Special Dumble clone, which is super, super, super cool. I'm going to try to get one here so we can do a review and post it here on the channel here for Fortville Music Garage. But go check that out. It's super cool. Anderton's put out a really great video for it. Reverb's got a great video for it. Go check those out. Walrus Audio. I've been using Walrus stuff forever. I've known those guys for a long time. And in fact, my last board, it seriously was like 3/4 of it was Walrus stuff. It was very cool. They have the Mako series, which is like their digital series, and which I've had every pedal from the Mako series. I think they're fantastic. But they're just now releasing version 2. And what that is it actually has a small LED screen on it. And it well, one, like for the delays and the modulations, it'll read out tap tempo, it'll show your settings, it'll show what preset you're on, because they were cool because it's a small factor pedal, a small form factor pedal, but the you could do 9 to 20 presets, or no, 9 to I think with MIDI you could have over 120 presets, and you could cycle through it with your foot switch. Now, you just kind of had to memorize what color the LED was what pedal, or was what sound. And so now you've got a screen on there to tell you what sound you're on, which is very, very cool. I'm super excited about that. I'm going to also try to get some of those because I think those would be a super cool thing to review. Now, PRS has done a limited run. I'm not the biggest PRS fan, but Zach, who owns the studio here, he has tons of PRS guitars. He is like a PRS fanboy. Now, on the subject PRS, they just released a limited edition DGT, which is the David Grissom model, and they actually did a semi-hollow version of it, which they haven't done before. And it's super cool. It looks amazing. They just put out a video of David Grissom playing it, and it looks absolutely incredible. So yeah, go check that out. I'm super excited. I don't know that I'll be able to get one of those here, but it is super cool to see. Now let's shift gears a little bit. Let's talk about the market report and what we've been seeing here in the last couple months. Now, on the car side of things, there are a couple odd things that have happened. Number one, Jaguar is taking a year off. Now, I don't think the company will go under completely. I don't think that, especially because they have a name brand like Land Rover, or they're owned by Land Rover. But it's odd. You don't often see a company taking a year off from sales. So I'm interested to see how this is going to play out. I have a feeling it's something to do with they have so much 2024 inventory that they just are going to use 2025 to get rid of that. But I'm not totally sure what's up with that. Now, on the other side of that, if we look at how the used car market has changed, there are some steals in the Jaguar world. The XF, now I'm not talking about the new XF. I'm talking about if you go back from like 2008 to, 2013 or 2014, they had an XF with a supercharged V8 making 500 horsepower. And I'm not kidding, you can get that car between 10 and 12 grand. Now, if you find a really clean one with no miles on it, you're still only looking around 20 grand. I think it's absolutely the steal of the month for sure right now. Super, super cool car, full-size sedan, and it does all of that. Now, on the other side of that, I want to talk about a car from the same era that I can't believe how expensive these still are. The FJ Cruiser. Now, I know a lot of you see FJ Cruisers on Marketplace and they're, 10, 12 grand or whatever. If you look for an FJ Cruiser under 60,000 miles, so we're talking a low mileage example, you're still talking between 30, 40, even sometimes 50 grand on a clean FJ Cruiser. I cannot believe that. Now, I guess I can believe it because it's such a capable off-roader, and that's such a hot market right now, and everybody loves an FJ Cruiser. So I think I can believe it probably, but that's wild to me. I love an FJ Cruiser. In fact, I was telling Zach the other day, I think I've been thinking about switching my ATS for an FJ Cruiser, one, it just has a little more room. I could put a car seat in it. I've got a baby daughter. But I also think that it's just cool. It's just a cool car. Now, last week we talked about in the market report, we talked about quattroportes, right? Maserati quattroportes and how affordable they were and how you can get supercar performance-ish for that 10 to 20K range. Now, funny I said that, the next couple days, Nick on Cars and Bids, who I don't think he actually works there, but he's a friend of Doug and Kenan and Filippo, bought one and is going to do a video series on making it the most reliable quattroporte and then selling it, which I think is super cool. So if you're in the market for a quattroporte and you can hang on for a couple months, that is definitely going to be the one to get. Now, on the other side of things, let's talk about some guitar market stuff that's updated. Because Walrus came out with the version 2 Mako series pedals, version 1 Mako series pedals are going to go cheap. In fact, they already kind of have. And the D1, the delay, was the first one that I noticed that went actually rather cheap. So if you go on Reverb right now and you're looking for a high quality multi-preset delay to bring your board to the next level, check out the V1 Mako delay. It is incredible. In fact, that goes for all the Mako series. They're all incredible pedals, and I have a feeling as people buy that version 2 with the screen, these version 1s, because it's such a big change, they're going to go really, really cheap. Which is actually, it's going to benefit everybody, because if you can afford to buy the V2, I think it's worth it. And if you can't afford it, but you really do want that upgrade, I've toured, I've gigged, I've done studio work with the V1 stuff, and it's incredible. It's super awesome. So go check that out. Now, I want to talk about some affordable amps and guitars. I focus a lot of my time on high-end stuff. In fact, I'm sitting within 2 feet, 3 feet of a 66 Deluxe Reverb and a high-end Harrison Guitar Co. Strat. I mean, it's incredible, the gear that's in this room. But I will say, you don't have to have that high end of gear to have a good sound. So let's say you're looking for a new amp and you're in that $500 price range or less. I have been finding AC-15s, Vox AC-15s on Facebook Marketplace. We're talking $350, $400 for an incredible sounding single channel 15-watt amp. They are incredible sounding. Now, if you're looking for, well, I want something with a drive channel, or I want something that's maybe a little more modern sounding, this amp gets slept on all the time, but I've owned one, and in fact, I'm thinking about owning another one just to have in a practice space at home. The Bugera V22. We're talking $200 to $250 on the marketplace. These amps are fantastic. It's a single 12-inch speaker. It's 22 watts, and it is, I mean, your cleans, you're talking Deluxe Reverb style cleans, and you're talking like Marshall style gains. It is a super cool amp, especially for the price. Now, let's say you're doing that amp and you're like, man, I don't like that speaker. I get that. I don't like that speaker either, the Turbo Sound speaker. But if you spend another $100 and put a Celestion in it, I think, or whatever your speaker of choice, Jensen, Eminence, whatever. In fact, this Deluxe Reverb right here has a warehouse guitar speaker in it. And that warehouse guitar speaker is incredible. And I think it was like $85. It was amazing. Do it. You will not be upset with the results you get for $250, $300. It's amazing. Now, in the same sense, guitars, so many people focus on high-end guitars. I mean, we've got high-end guitars here. We've got PRS. We've got Harrison Guitar Co. We've got Fender Custom Shop. We've got Gibson stuff. However, Zach's favorite guitar, and honestly one of my favorite guitars here, is a SE PRS that he paid $200 for, that we stripped down, refinished, and put some cool pickups in. And it's incredible. It sounds amazing. So for those of you who aren't luthiers and aren't going to spend the money to get a guitar refinished, one guitar that you could start with is just a Squier Strat or a Squier Telly. I used to buy Squier Tellys as a kid, and I would dump the electronics. I'd put CTS pots and nice custom pickups in them. And I mean, we're talking, I'd be $200 into the guitar, maybe $250, $300. And my brothers who would have custom shop guitars or nicer guitars would love to grab one of my Squiers off the wall because, one, I was good at setups and they played well, but two, they sounded great. Now, there is something to be said about that inch-thick polyurethane finish, and whether it changes the tone or not. But I'm telling you guys, I think you will be super happy with that. Now, I want to take some time here, and I want to do a segment I haven't done yet before. And I just want to do, I'm going to call it a gear spotlight. I'm going to talk about things that I've actually experienced and that I've actually used and that I know that I love. They may not be the most affordable, or they may be ultra affordable. But the important part is, like, this is from my experience. On the car side of things, the Alfa Romeo Giulia and the Alfa Romeo Stelvio, these things are cheap now. I mean, we're talking sub 20 grand for low miles. And it's a great car. If you are, especially if you're driving a boring car, let's say you're driving a Ford Fusion, and you're like, man, I wish I had something with maybe just a little bit of performance. It doesn't need to be fast, but I want it to handle well, and I want to throw around curves. And I don't necessarily want to have a BMW, and I don't want to have a Mercedes. Oh my gosh, go buy one of these Alphas. Number one, they're kind of sleepers because nobody really cares, right? They've been around long enough that that you see them and you don't really think a second thing about it. But even the base model, that 2-liter 4-cylinder, has a great response, great throttle response. And I think more importantly than anything is the handling is incredible on these. Now, of course, when they came out, they were cool. As they've aged, if you're a person who's like, I have to have Apple CarPlay and I have to have a big touchscreen and a big, whatever, it might not be for you. But if you're looking for just a nice car that's going to have a great interior, look great on the outside, great around corners and stuff, that's going to be a great car for you. And I mean, we're talking sub 20 grand. Of course, if you need the SUV, the Stelvio's there. But the Giulia as a sedan is an amazing sedan. Now, on the guitar side of things, I want to talk about what I gig with on the regular. I play in bands ranging from country to blues to rock to jazz and pretty much everything in between. And I basically take 2 guitars to every gig. I take a 335 and a Telecaster. I would say 99% of the night I'm on the Telecaster for the country and the rock stuff. And then for the pop and funk and jazz kind of stuff, I'm on the 335. And sometimes I'm on the Telly. Just depends. But I also have modded my Telly to have a middle pickup. So it is a Nashville Telly, and so I do get those stratty kind of sounds. And my 335 does have a Maestro trim. So I do play, I play that kind of thing. I do have one guitar with a trim for that reason. Now, of course, I've got the Strat sitting next to me. I love gigging a Strat. In fact, the other day, I got really excited about this guitar for some reason, and I took it to a gig and I played it for the full 3-hour set, and I didn't even touch another guitar. And it was fantastic. I loved every minute of it. So there's that, and sometimes I take a Les Paul with P90s. It's a great guitar too. Really does the dry funk thing really well. But yeah, for gigging, you cannot beat the combo of a 335 and a Telecaster. It is just the most classic sound. and it's fantastic. So for those of you that are gigging a lot, try that next time. Next time you're going to play a show, I hope you always take 2 guitars. Try 335 and a Tele. I think you'll love it. Well, hey, that's all the news and all the things I've got for you today. Thank you for watching this. Thank you for liking this video and subscribing. Thanks for following us on Facebook and Instagram. This is the Fortville Music Garage page. When you do subscribe to us, ring the bell so you'll get notifications on updates. We should be updating almost every day now, so check that out. Thank you again. We appreciate all your support and love, and we'll see you next week. Have a great week.